Hi guys! I just wanted to take a few minutes to go through a Unit 7 academic vocabulary review. None of this information is new stuff. This is all of the terms that we were covering before our unscheduled break in programming. So it's all things that we've gone through. We did activities to review these terms before the break. So I'll remind you the activities that we did, and then hopefully you can take a look at this, use this, review these terms, and then take the Unit 7 practice quiz, which you can find on AP Classroom. If you would prefer not to do it on AP Classroom, you want a hard copy, the PDF is on Google Classroom. So you can print that out, you can write on it, and that way it mimics a little bit better the testing atmosphere that you guys will encounter on the AP exam. What I do ask is that if you do on the paper copy, please log into AP Classroom and put your answers there so that I can collect the data. Once I see the big questions that you guys are getting wrong, I'll put together another one of these videos and review the skills that you guys seem to be missing, and then we'll do a few more practices after that. Okay? So let's get going. Here's your Unit 7 academic vocabulary review. Okay, if you can remember all the way back to, well, last week, we started talking about dependent and independent clauses. You were supposed to have a quiz on Friday, but, well, things got in the way of that. So to remind you, a clause is just a term for a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. So a subject can be a noun or a pronoun. It's what the sentence is about. A verb can be either a state of being verb, like is, was, were, be, being, been, or it could be an action verb, walked, talked, slept. Any of those words work as verbs. So a basic sentence, she ran down the hallway, is an independent clause. It has a subject, she, it has a verb, ran, and it can stand by itself. She ran down the hallway. You're not left asking any questions. You understand everything that the writer was trying to convey to you. You've got all the information you need. A dependent clause cannot stand alone. If you hear it, you're left asking yourself, well, what's going on, or what more information do I need? If I say something like, when I walked down the hall, you're like, well, what happened? What happened when you walked down the hall? If I just say I walked down the hall, it's fine. But adding a word like when makes it dependent. I need more information for that group of subjects and verbs to make sense. So dependent clauses cannot stand alone. Independent clauses can. So the different types of dependent clauses that we talked about in class were the coordinate clauses and the subordinate clauses. Now, coordinate clauses are joined by the coordinating conjunctions, fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Fanboys make it so that two ideas, two sentences, two main ideas can be joined together, and they are of equal importance. She is my best friend, and I don't know what I would do without her. These ideas are equal. One is not more important than the other, so they're joined by that coordinating conjunctions. They're coordinating with one another. Think about your outfit. You want your pants to coordinate with your shirt. Make them go together. They're of equal importance. Now, a subordinate clause is going to make it so that one clause is not as important as the other. Subordinate means lower than. So if I have a dependent clause and a subordinate, flip that. If I have an independent clause or a main idea, main clause, if I have that and then I join it with a subordinate clause, that subordinate clause is giving me related information, descriptive information, but the information in the subordinate clause is not as important as the information in the main clause. So if you look at the next slide, there are some examples. The first one is a coordinates, using a coordinate dependent clause. I'm a little rusty here, if you can't tell. Give me a few days off and I don't know how to talk. So if you look at the first sentence, smoking causes lung disease and it can also cause heart disease. So these two ideas are both of equal importance. They're both negative aspects of smoking. So I know that if this were the thesis statement of a paper or if it were a topic sentence of a paragraph, I know that entire paper or that entire paragraph is going to be about the negative aspects of smoking. If I take a look at the second example, the subordinate dependent clauses, the first sentence, because the negative there, I'm reading my commentary on it. Take a look at the sentence. Again, rusty. That first sentence, even though it can damage your knees, running is a good exercise to promote cardiovascular health. The main idea, the main clause, is that running is a good exercise to promote cardiovascular health. So when I'm looking at that sentence, I know my paper or my paragraph is going to be about the positive aspects of running, not the negative aspects. I do recognize that there are negative aspects. That's what the dependent clause is doing. But my main idea is that running is good. So pay attention to the second example. When you flip it, although it is a good exercise to promote cardiovascular health, running can cause damage to your knees. So now look at how the main idea of that sentence has changed. The main clause is the negative aspect of running, and the positive aspect is put into the dependent clause, the subordinate clause. There we go. So the subordinate clause has the positive aspect. The main clause has the negative aspect. So now the thesis becomes the negative aspects of running. The topic of the paper or the topic of the paragraph changes. It now all becomes about negative aspects of running. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't, send me questions. You're going to encounter stuff about clauses in the writing and language portion of the exam where they ask you how to reword sentences. So always pay attention to what's in the main clause. Make sure it matches up with the main idea that the author is trying to convey. After we talked about clauses, we were looking at absolute terminology. Remember, absolute terms are words that you want to try to avoid using. Words like never, always, all. They make it so that no other aspect of an argument can be true. And we don't live in a world where things are in absolutes, where something is always one way. There's always gray areas, or there's always exceptions to rules. So if I said something like, I never miss school, that means from kindergarten all the way through when I graduated with my master's degree, and once I became a teacher, I never missed a day of school. Well, I'd like to say that's true, but it totally is not. You guys know it's not true. I've been absent on days when you guys have been there. But I want to convey the idea that school is important to me, and I go on a regular basis, and I'm not absent a lot. So if I take that sentence and I say, I rarely miss school, or I try not to miss school, or I almost never miss school, then I make it so that it is not in an absolute term. I'm still conveying the same idea. School is important to me. I try not to miss it. But I'm not telling something that is not true. I'm not saying I never miss school, because that's not true. So avoid absolute terminology whenever you can. The next type of phrasing that we had taken a look at is oversimplification. So oversimplification is when you take an issue that you're dealing with and you take that issue and you say, it is only caused by this one thing. You simplify the cause for your issue. You hinge your argument on this one thing is causing a problem that I see. So if you look at the examples, if I think that education is struggling today, or education today isn't as good as it used to be, I might say that the only cause for that is what teachers are doing in the classroom. I might ignore anything that could also impact it. Technology, socioeconomic circumstances. I'm going to ignore all of those things. If I do that, then I'm oversimplifying the issue. We took a look at commercials for this. We watched the Old Spice commercial and we watched the Axe commercials. Remember those? So it said that all these good things would happen to you, and the only reason why these good things would happen is because of using Old Spice or using Axe. And, well, not necessarily true. We've all been around the person who uses way too much Axe. It's not a good thing. So oversimplifying says that you were only looking at one cause. Make sure you explore all of the aspects of an issue before you start to argue what could be causing that issue. The opposite of oversimplification is exaggeration. So exaggeration means you throw in too much stuff. So you're looking at an issue, you're looking at a problem, and you're going to say all of these things are causes for it, and you include information that's irrelevant. So if I'm saying somebody decided that they were going to vandalize the cafeteria, I might say their reasoning for doing that is because they hate the school, they are bullied, they don't like the food served in the cafeteria, which could all be valid reasons. And then I start to throw in things like, and because it was raining, and because they hate Mondays, and so they did it on a Monday, and the moon was in a certain phase, and that caused them to destroy the cafeteria. All of these things are irrelevant, and I'm masking my actual issues. I'm masking my actual causes, the examples that are actually relevant to what I'm saying, by putting in things that are not necessarily related to the issue. So make sure when you're choosing examples, you choose things that are related to your line of reasoning and to your thesis statement. Okay? Now finally, Punctuation for emphasis and de-emphasis. This is the only thing that we didn't get to cover in class. Luckily, it's the easiest thing. So when I want to emphasize certain things, I can use my punctuation to do that. Dashes, italics, bold, they make words stand out almost as if they're being yelled from the page. You guys know when you're reading a textbook, you scan through the paragraph. What do you look for? The bolded words. So if I want information to stand out to my reader, I can use these 3 pieces of punctuation to do that. Emphasize them, make them important. If I want to make information seem not as important, I'm going to use parentheses. So my reader automatically knows that that information is not as important as the rest. So anything that is adding voice or as a side note, I'm going to put it in parentheses so my reader knows, hey, I want you to know this, but stick to what's important for the rest of the paragraph. This is extra stuff. All right, guys, after you've done this, go do your Unit 7 practice in AP Classroom. Hopefully this will help you remember some of these key ideas that were covered in Unit 7, and you can do pretty well on that practice. If you have any questions, send them to me via Remind email on Google Classroom from 7:41 to 2:25. I'm yours. I'm going to get back to you right away. If you send it to me later in the day, I might not get back to you until the next day, but it will be the first thing that I do when I get back into my classroom. So send those questions. I'm also going to take a look at the Unit 7 practice on AP Classroom and address the biggest questions that you guys got wrong. Okay? As always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Hopefully I will see you soon. I miss all of you. I know you're missing me so much. Just kidding. But hopefully I do see you soon. Stay healthy. Let me know if you need anything. Bye.